All right, I think I have now taken back the stream from the thing. So we're going to go live and we're going to read some comments. So please give me some feedback. Let me know that it's working out there. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open up the screen full size and we're going to open up this video. Where did it go? There's something. That's all right, I guess I can hear myself there. And then I'm going to use the links in the description of this video. Right click on them and open them in a new tab. And we're going to take a look at the comments from the brace ATF comment period and then the redefinition of the comment period. We waited and we were a little bit late here, so thank you for your patience. We've been watching the Locked and Loaded Lationos show, which was on today in honor of Father's Day tomorrow. They had Chris Chang on, who is Top Shot Chris. So we'll just go ahead and drop a link to that chat. If you're not interested in watching this or you want to watch their show later, go ahead. Or like I say, if you're not interested in watching this, go watch that right now. It's worth watching, or watch it later. And then here's a link to Chris's website, and great conversation just ended over there. All right, so now we're going to, I don't think I need this open anymore. We'll close this window. We're headed over to stabilizing braces. I just set this up, so it looks like I just checked out the numbers. We're at 96,879 comments have been received for the stabilizing braces. That's basically 10 days into the comment period, which is pretty good. The firearms rate definition of firearms has 67,000 in comparison, so quite a few less. That one is 30 days into its comment period. Very interesting, and I'm not sure if it's focus from the industry community or if it is a factor of the way that the ATF is handling, or at least the government, if it's regulations.gov, the website, or if it's ATF. I don't know if regulations.gov is a dashboard that the ATF uses, therefore regulations.gov is just the middleman, or does ATF hand stuff over to regulations.gov and they decide to run the thing their way? I don't know who to ask or what the deal is there, but we can see from our view from the public side that there's 96,000 comments received for stabilizing braces, and of the 96,000 comments received, 8,000 have been approved for us to read. It's a factor of not even 10%. If we head over to the identification of firearms, the redefinition of firearms, 67,000. So 30,000 less comments and a full 51,000. Not quite 100%, but something like what, 90%? 80% of the comments have been set to view. It's interesting, and it's not consistent, so not sure if that has any relation, but feel free to look into that or comment or question that. So I'm doing this live as opposed to recording this. Keith is out there if you want to weigh in on this. There's only a couple of people watching this live. I'm probably corking an actual show. So if anybody is watching this live and you'd like to influence what we're doing here, feel free. Let me know if you'd rather see the frames or receivers, the redefinition of frames, or the pistol braces. Assume the pistol braces will win just because it seems to be the popular girl at the dance. But I'm going to jump into braces just because I'm more curious there. It's been going on a little bit longer. We have the weird ratio of approved comments. So I'm clicking on the Browse Comments tab of the Identification of Firearms comment period. I'm flipping the sort so that it's sorted from newest to oldest. We can see that they've allowed, or they've, I guess, allowed 51,000 of the 96,000 comments. And we can see that according to the sorted list, the most recent comment ID number is 50,700. So it all seems to line up that we are seeing the most current or the most recent comments submitted. So what I like to do in order to attempt to create some consistency in my pulling of the data or whatever is I'm going to just right click and open in a new tab on every one of these first, the 25 comments on the first page of the redefinition of firearms. I'm going to just right click and open these each on a new tab. I just screwed up where I was at. So that was number 720. Go down here and look for 720 if I can find it. Okay, I just screwed up and lost track of where I was at. So I have some number of them open, and it will no longer be the 25. It'll just be some number. I'm not going to be that worried about it. So we'll just grab some of these. I don't know what this is. You're not brave, New World. You're using the name of a book, and then you say law-abiding citizen turned into a felon overnight by charlatans and thugs. Then do you respect the charlatans and thugs? Are you feared of the charlatans and thugs? Have they won? Have they taken over your system? Or are you just unwilling to participate in the system that's available to us that's lasted through 2 world wars and a civil war? You can go find another channel to soothe your wounds, but here we look at the facts and continue to work towards changing them. So here we have a boilerplate automated response. Next we have a real comment. The ability to manufacture, so this is comment number 50708, and I'm basically going through this first page, not quite every single one, but a good chunk, maybe 70% of the first page sequentially here. So this is comment 5078. The ability to manufacture our own receivers and firearms has been a part of American tradition since the founding. Most of these firearms are used legally and protected under the Second Amendment of the Constitution. Changing definitions on the firearm or receiver of a firearm does nothing to promote gun safety or reduce gun crime. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for you so that you can see it easier. Gun registries hardly do anything to curb gun violence, and finding a new way to track gun parts is an invitation to abuse by zealot government officials and will do nothing to stem mass shootings or other gun crime in the long run. So why do it? If criminals decide to break laws, then we arrest and punish, reform those individuals. Let's not punish law-abiding citizens for something we have done since our founding. This is a blatant attempt to criminalize gun ownership and make it too difficult for poor and minority gun owners from practicing their Second Amendment rights. This rule is authoritarian, overreach, and worst of all, ineffectual to their stated goals. That one's pretty good. I guess I'll comment or not, depending on what you give me some feedback. Because Maggie's saying I basically had the same issue with both of those. They're making the definitions more complicated and unclear. Give me both of the new proposed rule changes. I got a drink here. It's super hot. Super hot. Therefore, I dehydrate and my mouth gets super dried up. All right, so 50703. We're on the redefinition of firearms. First page of those comments today. 96,000 comments, where about 50,000 of them approved. Oh no, sorry, 60-something thousand comments, 50,000 approved. I strongly object to the proposed change in ATF Rules 2021 R-05. These proposed rule changes create language and intent that does not exist in the Gun Control Act. These changes allow the ATF to arbitrarily define what is and what is not a firearm. This would make parts that require extensive skilled finishing into firearms. Where would this stop? Is a black block of polymer, a firearm? In the case of modular type weapons, such as an AR-15 that have already been made, an onerous burden would be placed on owners to place serial numbers on parts that not previously required them. Since millions of these parts already exist, is more likely there'd be no practical way to accomplish this. If laws have become out of date, it's up to Congress to replace or amend those laws. This power must not be usurped by a non-legislative government entity. Respectfully. Another great comment. I'll try not to add my commentary, so that this seems to be, just by looking at the number of views, people seem to prefer the non-commentary versions. 50700, so 50700. I do not believe it should be replaced to change the understanding of what is and what is not regulated. We have defined the lower receiver of the AR-15 as the weapon for a very long time, and in my opinion, it is the best option. Similarly, the systems in place for handguns by companies such as Sig Sauer with their P320 are adequate to identify the firearm without adding more serialization burden. If there is rule change or definition change, it should come from the legislative branch of government, not our executive branch. Okay, this is, it looked kind of like boilerplate, but I don't think it is. 50695. Subject ATF 2021 R-05. Dear Sir or Madam, I strongly object to the proposed change in ATF Rules 2021 R-05. These proposed changes create language and intent that does not exist in the Gun Control Act. These changes allow the ATF to arbitrarily define what is and what is not a firearm. Sound familiar? This would make parts that require extensive skilled finishing into firearms. Okay, well, this is boilerplate. We just read that one. So I'm going on to the next one. It is 50729. These arbitrary rules proposed by the Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives Bureau have no place in law. These proposals are preposterous. They have no impact. They will have no impact on their claimed intent, which is blatantly politically motivated. These proposals will only restrict law-abiding, nonviolent citizens who are simply exercising their constitutional rights. These proposals will not affect human behavior or curb any person from engaging in violent crime that wishes to harm others. It is only an attempt to create criminals out of good people by manipulating the Constitution using convoluted legal language. These proposals need to be eliminated immediately. Very nice. This happened. Next up is 0668. I believe that the BATF's new proposal rule on pistol braces, 2021 R-08, is a gross infringement of our constitutional rights and should be struck down immediately. Okay, either there's a glitch in the matrix, or I did something seriously wrong, or, no, I'm on braces somehow. So somehow I got to braces. Didn't I open it up on receivers? What the hell happened? Yeah, how did I get so many of these brace ones opened? Somehow I must have opened up both and I don't remember. Holy moly, it's glitching out. Clover dropped $5. Now you're definitely ahead of me. I appreciate it. Thank you. Once again, thank you, G, for reading all this stuff. It is a great benefit not only to recharge our 2A batteries, but help inspire others' comments. I hope so. And thank you for the $5. This is really because a bunch of people grabbed stuff off the store yesterday, gave me a bit of a financial breather here, and just got done listening to the Locked and Loaded show over there. And before I kind of roll up my sleeves and get into the work for the day, I figured I'd kind of start with a little jog of reading some of these. But somehow I screwed up and opened up a bunch of pistol ones. I'm just going to roll with it and just keep reading, I guess. Sorry about that. I thought I had opened up a bunch of receiver ones and now into the... See, this can't be a pistol one. The ability to manual our own receivers and firearms has been part of the American tradition since the founding. Most of these firearms are used... Did I reread this one? Most of these firearms are used legally and are protected under the Second Amendment of the Constitution. Changing definitions on the frame or receiver of a firearm does nothing. I think I did read this one. Let's just assume I did. I definitely read that one, and I already highlighted that one. And that's when we were starting to question things. And then this one is gone, and now definitely are in comment number 06. So now we are in the pistol braces. So I don't know what's going on. Now we're reading some pistol brace comments. This is 0657. Hello, why do you think that people will follow your ruling when you yourselves flip-flop more than a rubber shoe? There are so many more braces than dumb bump stocks. It's like a repeat of saying masks don't help because hospitals need it, and then yes, you do need to wear one. People will not respect your opinion if you keep changing it. It's difficult to show respect to a government body and its members when the ATF pursue such silly things. It's like the NRA claiming to protect rights when sending out Nerf guns. Many people feel that the ATF is out to get, charge, and not out to protect people. I wish you, the ATF, would have some positive reputation instead of being dreaded like a worse version of a tax audit or a door-to-door salesman. Holy moly, I'm trying not to comment, but that is a unique comment. I like that comment. I'm putting that comment in the thing. I really think that one has a unique angle, and I've read a lot of comments. I like that comment. Let me know what you think of that one. That was 0657, the rubber shoe one. More flip-flop than a rubber shoe. I love it. All right, so next up is 0640. I'd like to start with a simple definition. Infringement, a violation as of a law, regulation, or agreement. An encroachment as of the right or privilege. Synonym, breach. A breach or infraction as of law, right, or obligation, violation, transgression. So, shall not be infringed sounds pretty simple. All of these laws and regulations being imposed are nothing more than an infringement. I'm almost positive that if you took an oath going into law enforcement, the same oath I took when I joined the military, so I don't need to go into that oath. My biggest concern is that the only people that this will concern are law-abiding citizens that will be turned into instant felons overnight. You know, I know, and every law-abiding citizen knows that nothing of this will affect the criminal. It is time that more is done to ensure that criminals are dealt with, not trying to make law-abiding citizens into criminals. This point system is flawed. You have made it virtually impossible to not get a fistful of points. This is not what the people that care about their freedom want. That's good. I'm just closing them now as I read them so I don't get mixed up. Next one up is on the braces. It is 0634. I am opposed to this regulation due to the fact that it simply seems like a money grab by the ATF. The variance in any type of brace versus the pistol tube is minimal in its actual utilization, but for some reason paying $200 and having it classified as an SBR would make the ATF feel better. There are too many stabilizing braces in circulation already to justifiably enact this regulation, and would just cost millions of law-abiding citizens much headache and financial burden. These new regulations the ATF are attempting to enact are supposed to somehow stop crimes from happening, and unfortunately, the people they are truly affecting are not the small number of people committing the crimes they are attempting to exterminate. Well said. Next up is 0659. I have several disabled veteran friends who enjoy shooting sports. However, due to injuries sustained in the act of serving our nation, they require stabilizing braces in order to enjoy their preferred activity. By adding stabilizing braces to the NFA, the ATF, DOJ, and U.S. government is discriminating against the men and women that have served this country in good faith. As it stands, they'd have to pay an extra $200, get fingerprinted, and wait months in order to participate in activities their able-bodied counterparts would pay no extra fee and wait no extra time to engage in. Furthermore, if it was the ATF's opinion previously that stabilizing braces were not counted as stocks and thus not classifying a pistol as an SBR when attached, if this passes, the trust in ATF as an entity will further be eroded. General trust in the ATF regarding technical evaluations such as this will be met by suspicion by the general public for untold years, leaving the stabilizing brace regulation classification as is. Man, I did not want to comment on comments, and about halfway through that one, I felt like I wanted to change my mind. And then at the end there, I can't deal with it, I'm going to comment. No, don't leave it as is. Remove the NFA. this guy is saying effectively, hey, the people that need the brace are going to have to pay $200. That's leaving them an out where they can say, oh, okay, they don't have to pay $200, but the rest of you do. So let's just get rid of the NFA. I'd rather see points of view that ask the infringement to justify the infringement, not to cowtail, I don't know the right word, not to dance around the infringements and ask for permission for certain people to get infringed less. I don't like that. I know that's not their intent, but that's what I'm going to comment. I'll try not to comment. 0656. This is extremely troubling. This is extremely troubling ruling. It will make millions of lawful gun owners now felons. The brace had an official ruling over years, and many took that law and follow it. But making it now a SBR, it poses problems because not everyone has the ability to drop $200. And with SBR laws, how they are, people who move apartments frequently can't always wait to notify the ATF and wait for them to let them know, right? Wait for them to know. And it hurts a lot of people who are disabled to shoot their pistols. The brace is an amazingly helpful item for those who are disabled and who are crippled by an accident. This was ruled on by and accepted by ATF, and that was that, and that was that. But why keep going back to braces when there's no real braces on the braces raise any crime or make firearms more manageable? Criminals are criminals because they don't follow the law. We follow the law with the brace, but if you do regulate these and now make it an illegal without an SBR tax, who will refund the millions of people who bought these legally? What about these in rural areas who don't get this update? Or people who know about the brace law and see it's legal now and go to the range and is now having federal charges because he has that ATF approval for having that brace? I love it. So I think because of the $ after the 200 here, this is a language thing. And I love it. I think that if you've got language issues, English second language, please write comments. I think that's necessary so that they know that everyone is pissed off at their overreach. That was a great letter. I like that one. Next up is 0662. Once again, an attempt to make things more difficult for law-abiding gun owners and add confusion while doing nothing to punish criminals. When does it end? Oh, it doesn't. It's all about paying for a tax rate. It's all about paying for a stamp to keep our constitutional rights. There are millions of braces out there, so there's no way to enforce this. Just something to punish people for exercising their Second Amendment right. This will be fought in court, just like the bump stock ban, and will be proven to be unconstitutional. I dig it. I would only add, tell him, I guess he may have said, let's assume it's a he. Next up is a 0663. The ATF proposed rule modifying the definition of stabilizing braces is an abhorrent violation of the Second Amendment. Currently, stabilizing braces attached to pistols are in use by thousands, if not millions, of law-abiding citizens. These civilians would be turned into felons overnight if this proposed rule were to be enacted to law. Furthermore, there is no evidence suggesting that this proposed rule would decrease the overall gun violence in the United States. Rather, it's an overreach of government agencies whose existence is unjustifiable to begin with. I really want that to be a unique one, but I think I've read that one before. Okay, this one's got a name on it. 0645. I completely and wholeheartedly oppose the proposed regulations on stabilizing pistol braces. Many millions of law-abiding Americans own these and will be turned into criminals overnight. I believe the proposed rule change is a big overstep by the ATF. Millions of Americans that use these lawfully every day and never have any criminal or evil intent, yet they will be treated like criminals overnight for something they've been using legally for years. I oppose this regulation change. Please honor our Constitution. Thank you, Raymond, and his last name is his business. Okay, so next up is, I couldn't tell if this was a boilerplate or not. It looked kind of boilerplate at first. 0673, to whom it may concern. Is that biased? Did they just assume whom? I don't like to assume whom, but we'll move on anyway, even though this guy assumed. To whom it may concern, I would like to comment on stabilizing brace criteria. As a disabled person myself, I would like to let you know these braces serve a valuable purpose. I am also confused how something can be bought legally for 8 years along with the background check, and all of a sudden it can be an NFA item overnight. I have looked at the proposed checkoff sheet, and it seems to be ambiguous and very confusing. I do not see any way this will make anyone any safer. I want to thank you for looking at my comments and hope you will reconsider this regulation. Thank you. It's polite and it addresses the good issues. No, I think I mixed up, dude. That has too much other stuff. The ATF has nothing to do with CDC or NRA. I hear you, but I like that they were a little bit real, and some of this is for the ATF, but we can't be the only ones reading this. There has to be at least people whose job is to go read these to get, like, Bloomberg, if he's worth the shit, he's saying, hey, you people, here's a bunch of money. Go read what the opposition is doing. Go read what people are saying. Are we winning or are they winning? So those people are reading it. And if you can be human and win over those people, then maybe even if Bloomberg is paying them good money, they're going to be like, you know what? I don't care about this money anymore. I've invested it wisely, and now I can go over to the pro-individual freedom side and use the evil tactics that Bloomberg and Monsanto taught me and work for individual freedom and liberty. And then, you know what I'm saying? So maybe some of your comments will win those people over, if nothing else. Maybe an ATF agent will be like, oh, I put on my jack boots this morning and they're so tight. My foot's all sore from jackbooting on people's necks or whatever. And then they read the comments and they're like, you know what? I keep jackbooting on these people. I never thought about the half of it that is their people. So I'm going to quit jackbooting. And then maybe they start working for individual freedom. We don't know. So I hear you, Smeggy, but I'm going to stand up for individual freedom. I like the term lawful instead of law-abiding. I don't know. I'd be down for somebody to go into that in more depth. I think it's like that permitless and constitutional. Some people are like, oh, well, permitless and blah, blah, blah isn't technically blah, blah, blah. But they're basically saying there should be a permit and we're getting away with it by not having a permit. Well, how about we don't even bring the permit into the conversation? Like, how about we don't even give the antis even the seat at the table? But maybe that's another conversation also. I think this was the one I was about to read. Let's blame Smeggy for me losing track. And this is him. If you want to blame him, we'll throw a stick at the dog, and then the dog will run and get it. This is 0633. I am deeply troubled over the current proposed guidance by the ATF concerning stabilizing braces. There are millions and millions of Americans who legally own and use these. You would essentially be turning law-abiding, good-natured Americans into criminals with the stroke of a pen. On top of that, you'd be infringing upon a constitutionally protected right. I reject the vague and uninterpretable language used by the ATF to try to classify stabilizing braces as something that should be regulated by the NFA. There are so many things unclear about these proposed regulations and rules, but one thing is clear. The ATF cares more about treading on constitutionally protected rights than actually curbing violent crime in this country. The criteria proposed by the ATF is neither objective nor clear. It is much more unclear and subjective. It seems as if the ATF would rather spend its time coming up with a legal game of brace bingo than trying to establish a safer environment for the citizens of this country. I implore you to reconsider and think about all the people that would be affected by this. None of them are criminals. They will continue to do things they do, and while the ATF continues to punish law-abiding citizens for their crimes. Myself and the other millions of Americans have rights that are protected by the Second Amendment. That also protects firearms that are in common use. I think you would agree that the most popular firearm in America, the AR-15, would be considered common use. Thank you for your time. I can't get over that legal game of brace bingo. It's like extendable brace, and then a bunch of people are like, okay. And then it's like red dot optic, and then a bunch of people are quiet, right? And then little murmurings in the crowd or whatever. And then they go, weight over 15 ounces. And then there's a little bit of murmuring, and somebody goes, bingo. And then the ATF agents come over and take them to jail. And then they go, brace has a Velcro attachment. And then a bunch of murmuring, and somebody Goes bingo, and then the ATF agents come over and take him to jail. That should be a cartoon right there. Let's leave that one in here for everybody to take the brace bingo and run with it. Looks like we've pulled out angled vert grip. Bingo. 6 people go to jail. Okay, so next up is 0670. The ATF admits that over 3 million braces have been sold. The ATF admits that this NPRM, if adopted, would affect millions of individuals that have a significant effect on the firearms industry. The ATF is not claiming that an activity that was previously allowed as legal is now classified as certain weapons likely to be used for criminal purposes. If this is the case, then why haven't the millions of firearms owners who potentially own a class of weapons that indicates a likely use of criminal purposes been engaged in said criminal act purposes? The link between an intention, criminal purpose, and features of a firearm isn't properly defined and supported given the glaring fact that thwarts the reasoning all mentioned court cases. The link between an intention, criminal purpose, and the features of a firearm isn't properly defined and supported, giving this glaring fact that thwarts the reasoning and all mentioned court cases. I'm messing up the end of that sentence. There's a typo, I think. It is the time to retire the poor connection of classes of arms leading to criminal purposes and protect the individual rights to keep and bear arms. I messed that up because of my poor reading, but that is a good one. Let's retire this poor connection of classes of arms leading to criminal purpose. That's awesome. I don't know if that's lawyers or what, but yeah, I don't know where they come up with certain weapons likely to be used for criminal purposes. How about F them? That's just a pistol, like a revolver. It's like a Model 10 Smith & Wesson and a Glock 19. So whatever the cops are carrying is what's used the most for criminal purposes. Deal with it. It just means it's the most common gun, period. It's just like saying Ford cars get more flat tires. Doesn't mean they're more susceptible. It just means there's more Fords. Dang, coming. All right, so next up is 0618. I strongly disagree with this point system. It gives the ATF too much authority and is too vague. It is not the ATF's job to come up with definitions or laws, but to enforce the laws made by Congress. Don't know if I read that one already, but it's good. I like that one a lot. Next up is 0597. Once again, an asinine rule that will have zero effect on helping prevent crime, but instead turn hundreds of thousands of law-abiding citizens into felons. Show me the stats that say this will be effective in stopping crime. Pistols with braces are not used in crime. The statistics are infinitesimally small. Where is the logic and common sense? This is just another poor excuse to pick away at the rights of Americans under the Second Amendment that will be thrown out in court just like the last time because you have no way of enforcing this. I mean, that's a lot of good points. I dig a lot of those. So that was the stabilizing braces. I'm going to go back. Let me know. Should I keep going? We're 30 minutes in. I usually go for an hour. If people ain't digging it on a, what is this, a Saturday night, I can understand it. Keep going. We're 30 minutes in. There. Usually go for an hour. If people ain't digging it. It's just a Saturday night. Can you shut up? Right. Now I'm going to go into the firearms definition one. So maybe I'll go half with that and then half with firearms definitions. Here's the Instagram. I don't know why that's open, probably because I was looking at something before. So if you want to go look at an Instagram, there's an Instagram. All right, so we were looking at brace ones, and to kind of recap, the brace ones have 96,000, almost 100,000 comments. Barely 8,000 are are open for view. Like of the 100,000 that were submitted, 8,000 are open for view. Now, are we supposed to interpret that the rest of the 90% of those, 90-something percent, are boilerplate and they're repetitive, so they didn't push them up? Or are they just busy because they're doing 2 concurrent comment periods and it's too much for the government? They should have never been tasked with doing 2 at the same time, and they're overwhelmed, and because of it, the system is failing, or the system is suffering and the result is failing. So what's the deal? We have 10% on the stabilizing braces, and as a result, any comments we look at are basically unique. I don't think I've seen one. There must have been a couple in here somewhere that are pro-brace infringements, but I don't know if I've read one this time around. I'm pretty sure I read one in December, the first time they attempted to infringe on stabilizing braces. But this time around in June of 2021, 6 months after the first time they infringed, but the second time they're infringing or proposing to infringe, I don't think I've read any positive, yay, let's infringe more, please infringe me, daddy, type of comments for the braces. For the redefinition of firearms, there's been 6 maybe, it's less than 10 altogether, and that's maybe a dozen comment readings, an hour at a time. So maybe hundreds of comments read, and there's been maybe 5 or 6, something like that, of the ones that are almost always the same one. And it's a concern for the flood of guns that can be built by anyone in less than a half an hour. So they're a ridiculous boilerplate for the other side, and they're barely even pushing them through. At least we're barely able to see them. Now, the other thing to look at, though, is that while the pistol braces have almost 100,000 comments and barely 8,000 of them on display, the redefinition of a firearm comment period has only 67,000, almost 68,000 comments, and a full 51,000 of them are on display. So like something like 80+% of the comments are available. So now we're going to dig into those and see how many of these are unique. I attempted to do this before. I don't know what happened. Somehow I've mixed up before. So I can see that I've jumped over to the comments. I've sorted it by newest to oldest. The comments are sequentially from like 50,700. So I'm just going to open up the first couple. I should have already read these. Well, I have maybe not read those, but what's interesting is that as I open these and take a look at them, no, they are. I was going to say we did read them, and they're formatted differently, but they are just so far there are some boilerplates in here. So I think what I'm going to do is, because I've already mixed up a little bit on this, Smeggy saying go all night. I don't want to do that only because I'm going to go for a while here, maybe an hour, and then switch over to do some other tasks. This is, I'm trying to get some work done this evening, and this isn't probably the most effective use of time, but I did want to put some time into it. Clover threw in a $5 super chat, which reminded me to mention it, but yeah, thanks to everybody who purchased up at the store yesterday. That did give me a bit of breather here with some stuff that was impending. So I have to still jump back on that, and the Patreons are aware of what's happening over there. Thanks to that. Thanks to them. This gave me just a minute to take a breath, and their efforts yesterday gave me a minute to take a breath, so I figured I'd jump in and look at some more comments here for a bit. All right, so now I've opened up some randomly, and I definitely see this first one is a boilerplate. It's I haven't figured out whose it is yet. I guess one of these days, if I got time, I may go in and try to figure out. It'd be great if somebody else knows which ones these are. Leave a comment on one of my videos to identify which ones are which, so that we can stop saying boilerplate, and I could say, like, for example, this is the GOA letter, or this is the FPC letter, or this is the Georgia Carry, whatever it happens to be, like, once we figure out what they are. Because I think that'd be interesting. I listened to a Gun Owners of America video where they're asking people to use their form and then explaining how you can either use the form raw, like just the form data, or you can add to the form data to make it unique or added to, amended, and why both are useful and both are counted by ATF. So there was some interesting stuff there. If you take it all for granted, right, or take it all at its word, then their suggestion is that the ATF data mines it all, and part of that is useful. Like we want to get keywords in there, basically, is their thing. And I know it's a little bit goofy for people that are non-tech, but I can understand that aspect of it. I'd definitely be interested in hearing some tech people have a conversation on how to, I hesitate to say manipulate, but most effectively utilize the characteristics of the regulations.gov database structure and how they're going to use it so that we can create an effective strategy that we can all utilize most effectively. Is that a nice way of saying it? Because of the video I watched of yours a week ago, I was able to organize my thoughts and have done my first of a couple of entries on both comments. Thanks for getting the juices flowing. Right on, I appreciate that. You're welcome. I get that comment, and that's one of the things that keeps me going. For me, honestly, it's a selfish thing. It's difficult to stay motivated, right? And because I create content, I get comments, and I either get comments from people I know, like Smeggy. I've lived on it, well, not lived on it, but Smeggy let me sleep on his couch one time on a trip. I know Smeggy. This dude is like one of my friends, right? So when he's commenting, that's one thing, but that's like having your mom tell you you're special. Like, okay, I feel special, but I wonder if everybody else thinks I'm special. So anyway, when you create content, you definitely get some comments that don't make you feel special. And then you wonder, is it worth doing this stuff? And you can't expect everybody to say, I feel special. But reading comments like this is one way that I can see that there are other people out there that have a bigger focus than, what new optic to cram down your throat, or why you should buy a Chinese version of something that was decent years ago, or whatever. So yeah, I appreciate the feedback, and it does add up on the pile of, do we keep doing this, or is it time to start talking about NASCAR all day long and make a bunch of money? I can make so much money talking about NASCAR all day, I bet. Hashtag Brace Bingo. All right, so next up is comment 50571. I strongly object, or dear sir, madam, I strongly object. This is I already read this one too, I think, but that's a boilerplate one. This is not boilerplate, but it's very long. 50580. At least I don't think it's boilerplate. See attached files, ATF 2021 R-05. Since the founding of the Republic, American citizens have made firearms in the comfort of their home. The 21st century patriots no longer rely on iron-wooded hand tools for our patriotic predecessors. These have given way to the aluminum, plastic, CNCs, and 3D printers of the modern home workshop. This newly proposed rule, ATF 2021 R-05, attempts to regulate the making of firearms by law-abiding private persons who are not FFL holders, and to regulate those guns which are made within a private residence for personal use. The central premise of the Gun Control Act of 1964 has been based on Congress's authority to regulate interstate commerce. A private citizen making a firearm for their own use has never been subject to regulation and is exercising a lawful practice. This proposed rule change is grossly radical, unneeded, and unwarranted departure from this historical precedent. To emphasize this point, page 36 of the proposed rule even states, clarifying this issue is needed to deter the increased sale or distribution of unlicensed and unregulated, partially complete or unassembled frames and receivers, often sold within a parts kit that can be readily completed or assembled into a functional state. The changes to definitions being proposed in this rule, ATF 2021 R-05, are unlawful because duly elected members of Congress have not taken any action through majority support to regulate home-built firearms, firearms braces, or the records that must be kept by federally licensed firearms dealers. This proposal, ATF 2021 R-05, is a blatant example of agency overreach. Despite the proposed rule, ATF 2021 R-05, listing several specific firearms by name that had not been invented when most of the current laws and rules were enacted, there is nothing to prevent a future inventor from inventing and selling a new type of firearm frame or even a slide after the proposed rule takes effect, which would make at least part of these new rules obsolete. It is the job of a duly elected Congress to write laws of the land and the task of the federal agencies to enforce the laws as they are written, not to interpret them for political purposes. This proposed rule is an illegitimate attempt to circumvent Congress's lawmaking mandate because it states that it is in some way a response to the manner in which the courts have ruled on the AR-15 type firearm receiver. If a change is needed in the law, then it is explicitly the job of Congress to change the law, as written in the Constitution. It is not the job of a regulatory agency to bypass or usurp the powers of the legislative branch. For those reasons and more, I'm respectfully requesting that you do not enact the proposed rule changes found in enforcement of these laws as written by elected officials is the sole purpose and scope of the ATF. Interpretation of law is the responsibility of the judiciary, and executive branch agencies should not exceed the scope of their responsibilities. Again, ATF 2021-R-05 is a terrible mistake, and I must voice my opposition to its consideration as policy. Yeah, a little bit long, but man, it's good. You know, that's the kind of stuff that I think it's worth reading, you know, because there's a lot of good stuff in there. And then, what is the word? Juxtaposition-ish, or whatever the word would be. 507701. This is the long one. Do not further inhibit my Second Amendment rights. Evan, and then his last name is his business. I think Evan is a dude's name. Sorry to be sexist. Next up is 50724. This is a terrible proposed rule change. If I follow this worksheet by the line, you can still determine that I was trying to avoid the worksheet and still charge me with a felony with no requirement to prove intent. This worksheet also requires me to understand the intent of the company that made the accessories I attached to my firearm. The devices are used on weapons that are in common usage and therefore cannot hold up in the Supreme Court after considering the Heller decision. These devices allow people to better control their firearms, therefore making it safer. Have you noticed that states are passing laws to protect Second Amendment rights, yet federal agencies are doing the opposite? This indicates the federal government no longer represents the people. This is how civil wars are started. Please study history. Okay, that one was like, driving down the road's getting a little curvy, we're going a little faster, and now we're just off the road. So that one was doing pretty good until that. And then it got crazy. All right, so 50638. This rule will do nothing to prevent crime. It will only strip the American people of a right they had enjoyed since the founding of the country. There is no data to support that homemade firearms are used in a majority of violent crime, which in my opinion would be required even considering giving up. There is no data to support that homemade firearms are used in a majority of violent crime, which in my opinion would be required before even considering giving up one of my fundamental rights. I wouldn't give up my fundamental right because that jerk over there is abusing it. No, it's like the opposite. It's like, I don't want to play the trumpet because that guy sucks at trumpet. No. All right, so 50724. Wait, am I going the right way? No, I'm going the wrong way. I'm going the opposite way. My dog was over here giving me the business, so blaming her. All right, 50661. Do not change any definitions. It is unconstitutional for an alphabet agency with zero accountability to change the law by redefining things. All right, I'm not commenting on comments, but here's the thing. There's 60-something thousand, barely 70,000 comments, and 51,000 of them are open to the public. I'm only closing like a few of these that are boilerplate. There's not that much boilerplate. I just think there's that many comments, but it's still frustrating because these are gold and there's just not enough of them, I think, compared to how many gun owners there are. This is a redefinition of firearms, people. Don't you understand that the world's about to end? Don't have enough chaos happening. There's not enough. The sky's falling. It's literally falling. The sky isn't even light out anymore. It's dark out there because it fell. All right, so 50596. These labyrinthine, I don't know that word, definitions and rules would be almost impossible to comply with and almost impossible to enforce. They don't seem to target actual criminals. To an objective outsider, their purpose seems to be to make criminals out of people who have done no wrong. That is called piece of boilerplate with their name at the bottom. Next up is 50569. The ATF trying to redefine gun parts in order to appease a certain political agenda is purely unconstitutional and does nothing to reduce crime. All it does is hurt law-abiding citizens who believe in the Second Amendment and enjoy assembling guns as a hobby. Criminals do not obey laws and will get their unmarked weapons regardless of any new Marxist rules created by the ATF, which I may add again are unconstitutional. I dig it. Very good. Long is okay because we can't always speak in bumper stickers. That sounds like a bumper sticker. Long is okay, comma, and then the next line, we can't always speak in bumper stickers, and then put that on a bumper sticker. That's awesome. I think the ones that are good but might be worth, I think ones like that are good, but it might be worth our while to break it into a few different entries. Oh no, yeah, I agree. I think the third option is best, right? Unlike Smeggy, you want not just long ones. And unlike Smeggy, you don't want just short ones. Instead, you want a long one and then the 3 short ones that made up the long one, and that's 4. So 1 + 1 = 4 in the new math. Let's see. I wonder if making reference to other rights we have would be beneficial. If we can make an easy correlation between the First Amendment and the Second, I think we'd be able to make our points easy enough for anyone to understand. That's interesting. I think I haven't seen too many, at least I haven't. I can't think of it now that you mentioned that. I don't think I've heard of it too many that have brought up the First Amendment. There might have been one that had something to do with religion somewhere, maybe one, and that I can't even remember it because it wasn't like, a thread of them, it was just one. And then I don't think I've heard anybody bring it up to any of the other stuff in the First Amendment, not even art or speech. So yeah, I don't know. I think that could be a thing. When I looked at FPC, I couldn't even find a boilerplate comment. They just tell everybody to write their own. Oh, that's super good to hear. Thank you. And that's the thing. I think FPC used to be one that had that like get active tab, and then it would take you to the thing. From what I understand from my awareness of working with state level organizations, those aren't cheap either. The things that let you shove a comment straight into the government, that costs money. Like they charge you for that every year. So that's a pretty big budget item. And if they can remove it, still have the ability to get people, to motivate people to get comments in, that's a win-win, right? Because then we're better, we're stronger as individuals. We're better and stronger because we know when we've effectively rallied for a cause, right? And then it's better for the organization because they've actually stood up as a leadership role instead of just a pandering role. And then, it's better because the anti see that there's real dedication and intent behind what our actions are. They can't just write it off. There's probably something to be said for us to have like a sleeper comment. Like we all throw in a sleeper comment anyway, just in case, so that they think there's just a bunch of people about, not paying attention, but then we also are also paying attention. Dang, $10, appreciate that very much. Thank you. That's actually going to pay for something tomorrow, so thank you for that. I think we should have done this a long time ago, but thanks for your videos. We did this for braces. We did it for, not braces, the bump stocks a little bit, but we should have done more. Yes, you're right. We did it for bump stocks a little bit too late. We did it for the braces this last time around, but the comment period ended within a week, so there was no time to really do anything more than get started. And at the M855, I remember being there, but it was just a different world in 2015 for me, for sure, and I think for everybody. So we just didn't have that motivation and I don't think this is like a desperate thing this time around as much as like just another thing that we have at our ability. It's a tool that we have, or it's a thing that we have to use as a tool. I don't think it is a tool. I think that it's something that they are trying to use against us, like the 81%, and we're using it as a tool. And that part of it is super fun to be a part of. So thanks for the super chat. That gives some incentive to keep doing it. Shouldn't say incentive. I'm going to keep doing it no matter what. That gives me the ability to keep doing it. That pays a bill so that I can keep doing it. So I do thank you for that. Let's see. Oh, I see what you're saying, dude. If 167,000 people gave me $1, watch out. Watch the fuck out. That would be awesome. But I think I have 169,850 weird trolls that just watch what I'm doing. And then like somewhere around 100 to 200 people that give a shit. Welcome to the ATF, where the rules are made up and the points don't matter. Nice. Nice. Did I read that one? Yes. The Second Amendment bores me. I'm so bored of this. Next up is 50746. My name is Brad. His last name's his business. This is a comment regarding the new ATF 2021 R-05 rule that you are wanting to put in place. I believe that this rule is a stretch beyond our constitutional right, and not just that. I am 46 years of age and have never broken the law. Work every day, raise a family, and protect my family with so-called guns. This will definitely affect more of the law-abiding citizens and be ineffective to the criminals that obtain these weapons unlawfully. Not to mention, the penalty for not following these guidelines are way too steep for someone that has never committed a crime in his life. The guidelines to this rule are way too vague, and I feel that any gun we own would put us under the guidelines you would put in place, making all guns bad. I thought you guys were here to regulate, not disarm Americans. I say this from a concerned gun owner that cares about his right to bear arms and more to protect my family. I do not believe that this new rule change will make a difference at all in the criminals that are in violation of the law constantly. I hope this finds you promptly, knowing I have only the best intentions of making sense of these new guidelines. I hope you read this and think twice and retract this rule from a concerned citizen of the United States. That's interesting. And he signed it. Not too many people are signing it in the thing with their name. And I think that says a lot. Something about a signature, something about personalization, something about understanding the consequence, the potential consequence, right? And being willing to do it in front of a bunch of other people. There's a lot of weight to that. I think that guy's got some stones. That dude's got some exposed ovaries that others don't have. Let's see. Welcome to the eighth. Oh, here it said. What's up next? So we keep reading them, or are we done? It might be corking, or I might be in cork. We got 20 people out there. If we get like 5, some sort of indications while I'm sitting here drinking stuff, then we'll keep going. I guess if you want, indicate whether you'd rather go on the identification of firearms. Let's see. Identification of firearms will equal 42. And then we'll say that the stabilizing braced would be 81. And we'll see. Hey, is it weird that if you take 42 and add it together, it's not really 81? Did you ever think of that? If you put the first number times 2 and the second number minus 1, it's the same as 81. Coincidence? All right, well, that's an overwhelming answer. We'll end it. So thanks for showing up for an impromptu. Let's see. My opinion of the entry. Oh, is this a thing? Right on. I have to go over here to get my opinion of the entry. Oh, is this a thing? So let's go over here and mess with these people. I think they're so good over here. I might get them out of there. All right, so now I'm going to go over to the comments. which one this is. So I'm going to go to this one and see what happens. And if it works, it works. Oh, you know what though? I need this number. I need the comment number. I can't use a tracking number, I don't think. Let me see if I can. Oh, how do I get in this? So if I go to here, then I try searching for the comment number. Like this. I need the other number, I think. Which one was this? Identification. So this one is braces. Yeah, I need the other number. 81, 42, 81. Oh, okay, I see what you're doing there. So we got 2 for the 81, which would be the braces. See, the braces are going to win because of the industry. I think it's Yankees, the one that says the industry is falsely pushing the brace motive. Activism? I don't know what to call it. The brace awareness. If I go to comments, that's interesting. It's up to 8,000 now. And then I go to oldest. Yeah, see, then we definitely get to the beginning. Looks like 05 is the first comment you can get to. There's 06, 04, 03. 03. Let's see what comment number 3 was for the braces. So they were like, hey, let's do a comment period. And then this dude was like, I'm going to be the third one to comment and see what happens. This is comment number 3 for the braces. This proposed rule is aiming to set a dangerous precedent by the ATF in exercising authority by an organization with the public at large has little ability to recourse with. The ATF is essentially seeking to blatantly outlaw an incredibly widely lawfully used firearm device. Millions of braces have been sold in the United States and are used lawfully by citizens without issue. This illustrates just how absurd the argument against the stabilizing brace and short-barreled rifle are, especially regarding the modern evolution of firearms into shorter, lighter, and more ergonomic devices due to their increased popularity among groups such as those with physical disability or those who lack the strength to effectively wield a traditional long gun made of wood and steel with full stock and long barrel, for example. Making sweeping, arbitrary, and ineffective generalizations that are as subjective as they are ineffective is not the way to go about enhancing public safety, by banning braces which are not contributing to any problem to begin with. I do not mind registering my short-barreled rifles, paying for a tax stamp, and waiting on a background check. However, circumventing this process is not the aim of arm brace manufacturers who employ stabilizing braces for lawful use. Man, I was down until the second to the last sentence, and then I could no longer be down with that one. Let's see. Seeing if you can find that one. I'm going to flip it from regular to live. See if we get anything good over here. All right, so that was going and looking for the early one. So now this is Firearms. I'll go back to the braces here. Oh, I did get to an hour. It's an hour and 4 minutes. I was going to say, I think I'll just go for an hour. I'll wait for a minute because of we're checking for that number or whatever. But yeah, if anybody's got one, I don't know how it works because I haven't done one yet. I care about the Second Amendment, but not enough to write my name on a form. I just haven't done one yet. So I don't remember, or I don't know what they're going to do to give me some kind of a thing, but they give you some kind of a number, I guess, right? You just give me that number so you can track it. And maybe if you go in and track it, it'll show you your comment ID number over here. So it's because you can definitely see the tracking number. But since it won't let me sort by that, it's probably a second level database or something. Or just something like that. Let me search for it. If you had a couple of keywords in it, let's see if I type in overnight, what happens? Wow, look at this. I can type in a comment and find out, okay, so give me something to search for. How about that? You ever heard of using the internet both ways? Blow the dust off your keyboards. You're going to start telling me what to search for, or else I ain't going to do nothing. So now you got to work for your internet entertainment. This isn't like one of your little fancy pinky up internet chats where you don't have to do nothing and you just watch them do all the work. I'm going to search for stuff in here. So, nice. Comment number 2248. I am an American first, a Democrat second, and a gun owner third. I value the Second Amendment as much as I do the first, and this is without a doubt an infringement on our rights. If there is any evidence that this will decrease or prevent gun violence, it is your responsibility to make that public. It's obvious that this will do nothing but turn millions of law-abiding citizens into felons based on the whim of a select few. This is not the legislation of a democracy. This is changing a definition in order to turn something legal into something illegal. This is the methodology of dictators, not of the United States. Gun restrictions are the easy road for political pandering that don't affect those who would be tempted to cause violence anyway. Feature restriction after feature restriction makes voters happy. They obviously don't work. Oh wait, makes voters happy, but they obviously don't work. Do what needs to be done. Do the hard work. Tackle the root causes. I know you won't because that's too hard and takes money. No political party thinks the American people deserve money for that, though. The Liberal Gun Club, About Us, Roots Cause Mitigation too. How interesting is that? And then it must be because of some attachment, I guess. I'm going to click on this and open it as a PDF. When you open something as a PDF, I feel like it's a little nicer looking than when you don't open it as a PDF. So then they give you this, which is 5 pages of why root causes matter. The fundamental reason for an occurrence of a problem is a root cause. You got suicide, homicide. First will be taken on the root cause. Oh, so then they define suicide, and then they define homicide. And then they go, first we'll be looking at the root causes of suicide, and then who commits it, why, what can we do about it? Since that's 2/3 all gun deaths, that's interesting. And then they talk about domestic violence and the violence side of it. Interesting. So, yeah, a 5-page document that isn't all that long, but I don't know why it came up under Kalashnikov. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so look at that. I searched for Kalashnikov and I found a pretty cool article, or I found a pretty cool comment. The Second Amendment is pretty clear. My inalienable rights is inalienable. Oh, just something you put in yours? So I should be able to take that. Inalienable rights are exactly that. Go back over here, and paste. Oh, and then I can go over here and paste. I guess, what date did you post it? I got a bunch here that came up under those words. But yeah, look at that. I can get 4 of them that come up under inalienable rights are exactly that. Let's see. Got any other things to try typing for? No. So let's go back to braces and type in switchblade. Nope, nobody say anything about switchblade. I guess that's good. Repeal the NFA. Nice. 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 How many is this? Nice. 87 results say repeal the NFA. I think we can make that bigger, though. I think that's rookie numbers. So out of 8,000 comments, only 87 something of them say repeal the NFA. June 13th. Maybe I can search for just June 13th. Oh, that's a lot. It looks like I'm coming up with all of them though, not just our docket. That's interesting. Oh, that's hilarious. A government tracking number not working on a thing about government tracking numbers. Yes, I like it. It is kind of neat to find stuff to track or search for, but nobody's really saying nothing. And well, I don't know. There are people out there, but nobody's woke up. They're watching other things or doing other stuff. Then it's not as fun as just playing around. So it's like Clover's about to say something. What's creepy is I can go over here and see stuff happen before I see it happen over here. And in Clover's chat the other day, it was happening inside of StreamYard before it was happening over here. I just noticed that. ATF can't repeal the NFA, so that's an all right point to make, but you don't really have the right audience. That's an interesting comment. You're right, technically accurate, perhaps, although they act like they have the power to do stuff like that. But you're right, technically, you're right. Technically, Clover's right, okay? But here's the thing, here's the but. I don't think we're just writing to the ATF. I like to think we're writing to each other, that we're writing to the other American individuals who care about this stuff, and maybe some kid who has to write a report, or some like intern, maybe paid, maybe unpaid, who has to go figure something out like this. So I think there are some humans that are going to read this that are more than just the ATF, and hopefully plant some seed to them. And then there's the whole like practice. If we got to practice, this is a place to practice, right? This is a practice game. So if we're going to have conversations and consider things like big picture stuff, maybe this is a way to get used to saying it. I don't think some people are able to go up and just say to people, let's remove the NFA, because that's a pretty big thing to say to some people, I think. And if you're not comfortable with justifying that position, then you're probably not comfortable just asserting it. And if you don't believe it, then you're not going to assert it either. So I guess I'm just being a hippie or whatever, like bring it up once in a while so that it gets brought up. But yeah, you're right. They shouldn't be able to do anything about it for sure. They add stuff. They aren't allowed, like, not take away stuff. Now Smeggy wants to grant the ATF the authority to change the Constitution. That's what he just said. I'm pretty sure I don't misunderstand Smeggy when he just wanted to give the ATF and the government the authority and the obligation to change the Constitution at their whim, based on political. Oh yeah, definitely a recorded form of communication. Too many, including members of Congress, who know a lot of them read through these. Yeah, exactly. Maybe not them, but unless they're cool. Maybe they are. Maybe they're reading through this and they go, my constituents are a bunch of jerks. Or maybe they're like this. My constituents are good, but their constituents are a bunch of jerks. And then you read this and they're like, either this is all my constituents, or maybe some of those other constituents ain't so bad after all. So hopefully that's happening. All right, well, it is a Saturday, and let's go see what's happening on the rest of the internet, just in case. First off, if this doesn't appeal to you, then you probably want to go listen to Locked and Loaded, which is literally the best thing you can listen to every single week. And every week I kind of go, are they going to start to suck now? Am I going to have to quit saying they're the best thing you can listen to all week? And this is episode 49, and they blew it out of the park again. So no, you can literally listen to any one of these, and it's better than anything else you've ever listened to before. I can say that because I've listened to everything, and this is the best stuff on the internet. And then there's barbecue, and he goes over there and talks about meat right now, so that's happening. I guess that's it. Nothing else live right now. Oh no, is Rich live right now? They're over there talking about dudes in swimsuits rolling around.
Undercoated both of my trucks, and that really helped.
So, yeah, there we go. Oh, search for USASA 12. All right, that's an actual thing. So, USAS 12. Well, if I do that, then it gets too many. So I'll do this. don't, then I don't get any. So I've been around firearms since I was 12 years old, born in Alabama. My entire family consists of all USA born and raised patriots. And then we got a Striker 12, a UASS. So it does say it in this one. But is this for this? Yeah, maybe it is for this. All right, I think this is the only one that says it. Oh, where'd it go? I think this is the only one that says it. Oh, this is the same one I just read. So it must be in this mitigation one. I didn't see it in the 5 pages of the other one. I'm going to open it as a, I can open it with Firefox. I'm sitting here opening it with Microsoft like a sucker. This is the same thing I just opened. So maybe it's this police letter I should be opening. Oh yeah, see, this is a whole bunch. Oh, nice. This is a searchable thing. So if you just want to have a quick way of typing a whole bunch of keywords of guns, hey, thanks, dumbass legislatures, for making a nice keyword list for me. Boom, you can just grab that selection of keywords and drop it in. And watch what StreamYard will do. It'll jot that into like 7 different comments for me. There's a whole bunch of words for you. You can just use those words. Suckers. All right, so yeah, you know what a USAS 12 is? USAS 12 is, it's a semi-auto shotgun with a mag. And I don't know, this is Oleg's site. Let's see what Oleg has to say about it. Oh, it's interesting. So he's just got a gallery on there. It's Oleg. That's pretty awesome. So yeah, it's an old shotgun. What is it from the Korea? I think it might be Korea. It's been a long time since I thought about that one. So not sure why you're interested in that one, but it looks like the only thing that showed up was that one comment that attached some sort of police letter, which was their attempt to show that the government makes definitions arbitrarily or something maybe. Or that, when you make a list, then all it takes is somebody to do something that's not on the list, and now your stupid law is useless because you made a list of things that it affects. All right, with that, this show's a bit of a mess, but whatever. Like it, the goal here isn't to entertain as much as offer some inspiration, pass a little time, and to quirk this dude over here. He thinks he's so good doing his meat chat just whenever he feels like it, every single Saturday or whatever.
Yeah, that's done.
Right.
Yeah, well, if they can get the gold with tiger stripes.
Oh, I've been talking about guns because they know that I'm over here watching them, so act like we're not talking about meat. All right. Well, if you want to go watch that, you can. You don't have to, and you can go watch other things also. So, thanks for showing up. We'll be back to pick you up later.